Welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we break down the top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of East Idaho High School athletics. This show is brought to you by Ideal, a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising costs of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. It can be used towards higher education, a trade school apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. My name is Joel Richardson. Let's bring in my co-host of the East Idaho Prepcast, Mr. Sean Kane. Sean, good Monday night to you, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Lots happened since the last time. I feel like now every time we meet, like it's this huge amount of stuff that happens, and then now we are here. I like that we're first, like we're the first ones of the week. Like you had your weekend, you maybe digested some of the sports information, but you could start off with East Idaho sports. And I mean, IdahoSports.com. It's got all the brackets of everything. It's got the photos. It's got the streams for the football games and recaps of everything. I mean, so you're just starting your Monday off great if you're here with us live tonight.
And you might as well be here because ESPN, ABC, Disney, right? The Mickey Mouse Network dropped all their stuff on YouTube TV. A lot of us have YouTube TV. You can't watch Monday Night Football. You can't watch BYU Villanova. So you might as well be hanging out with Sean Kane and me. This show is brought to you by Ideal, state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan. I want to remind you of that. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this Prepcast so you know when we drop each and every week, usually 8:30 on a Monday night. Sean teased it out. There's a lot to get to. We got girls state volleyball, top stories from there. Hillcrest, Butte County. We'll talk a little bit other schools as well who got second, and we're just almost there. We'll also hit some cross country, which we haven't really talked about, Sean, all season long. And we'll finish up with some football, top stories coming out of the opening weekend, and what to look forward to, some of our favorite matchups to look forward to for this coming weekend. So let's get right to it. 6A Madison, Sean, just is short. They go second place to who else but Skyview. It's either Madison or Skyview, it seems like every year, dude. But here's the bracket for you. Sean, what do you see from this bracket? You know, we know Madison got second, played really well. They lost to Skyview. But what's your first reaction when you see this bracket from last weekend?
There's not something deep inside of me that I have a huge reaction to, Joel. I think almost a foregone conclusion in many people's crystal balls with the Skyline Madison matchup. Many, kind of tossed around who should have been one, who should have been two. It didn't matter. Skyline Madison in that first semifinal, Skyline wins 3-1. Then Madison has to beat Timberline, which they do. They beat them twice, right? Timberline, the 6th seed, really, I mean, they lost to Rocky, or they beat Rocky Mountain, then lose to Madison and come all the way back and play Madison again. So congrats to Timberline as a 6th seed. They were really, really strong, kind of pop out to you as a good team. But Madison gets them in the next one, right? And so Madison has to beat Skyview twice. They get it to the 5th set, but are unable to capitalize. And then, I mean, even if they get to the true championship for another match, I don't know if Madison could have beat Skyview at this point. I mean, I don't know. So close. They've
5 sets.
5 sets, but then they would have had to play another match, right?
Right.
So, if I mean, everyone would have wanted it except maybe Skyview, but
for sure.
Still a great run from Madison. Nothing to hang their hats on. I think that's their only losses, right? Or the twice to Skyview over the course of the season. And these two programs are just pretty much what volleyball is made up of. They're just dominant every year. Great coaching. And every year they're good. There's no like we had this class that was really good. It's every year. Skyview dominated at the 5A level for a very long time, moved up with no problem, and has continued. And they've put in, I don't know how many. Joel, you should know this. Skyview has a bunch of players that have went to go on to play at BYU, and I want to say it's 2 or 3 sisters. So Just a lot of good players. But I did see there was a highlight. Madison, former player. Oh dang, it's gonna drive me nuts. But playing for ISU, winning some volleyball. So not only are these teams dominant, they produce Division I volleyball players. So congratulations to both, and fantastic job for Madison. Not the trophy they wanted, but still, second place isn't terrible.
Yeah, no, 100%. Going back to those sisters who went to BYU, it was Eden and Whitney Bauer out of Skyview. They both committed to BYU. That was like
Coach Bauer,
20,
the dad.
right, 2019, 2022. So there's that. But Madison, you mentioned the hardware they brought home. They did get second place. They were also, Sean, the academic champs and the sportsmanship champs. The sportsmanship award goes to more so the fans, but also the players, how they were on the bench, how much they argued or didn't argue with the referees. And
Madison travels, Joel.
They sure do, man.
Madison travels.
Yeah, and Coach Puka, he loves it about this team. In his second year, they went for the four-peat, didn't get it. The quest for the four-peat ends in that loss to Skyview, but congrats to Madison. Let's get to a bigger story, though, from 6A. We're going to move on. By the way, Rigby was in that tournament as well. They won a game there, but mostly they were out in, 3 rounds. Let's get to probably the biggest story coming out of East Idaho, the girls volleyball tournaments. This one was at Timberland High School. Hillcrest, the number 1 seed, gets it done, Sean, for the first time in franchise/school history.
Yeah, Hillcrest. I mean, what a year for the Knight ladies. Right, we're going to talk about the boys and the football side, but the Knight ladies have been phenomenal. The soccer team does a phenomenal job, just shy of making a championship bid. But this Hillcrest volleyball team, number 1 seed. Now we have to go back in time a little bit, where we talked a lot about Shelley, and Shelley was leading the charge in this District 6 scenario, but Hillcrest goes on to beat them. And also, another thing from District 6 is, where's Idaho Falls? Idaho Falls doesn't even make it to the tournament, which I think a lot of people found surprising too, because you had Idaho Falls was a team on a lot of people's radar. But Hillcrest, they take it, and they take down who else but their conference opponent, Shelley, in the championship 3-1. They don't have to go to the 15th match. They get it done in the first one. They take down a very good Lakeland team that was strong last year, 3-0. They did have a 3-2 battle against Middleton, which you kind of thought you would see Middleton come back, but luckily for Hillcrest, Shelley took care of them early. But phenomenal job, history made. Congrats to those ladies.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I read some great articles from the East Idaho News talking about this Hillcrest squad. And from the get-go, they made the goal to win state. And the coaches were maybe a little bit, maybe not nervous, but they liked the goal. But sometimes you want to make smart goals, right, Sean? Attainable goals. But the coaches were fine with going for it as the girls made that goal. But as the season was, early on in the season, I should say, the coaches noticed that these girls did not give up. They fought for each other. And that ended up being a massive tool in their tool belt as this tournament went on. Like you said, they had to really fight hard to beat out Middleton, beat a good Lakeland team. They got Shelley, who they played how many times? Twice in the regular season. They had to beat them twice in districts. And we've talked about this on the East Idaho Prepcast. And it's kind of cliche at this point, but how hard is it to be at a team twice, 3, 4 times? In this case, it ended up being 7 times, if my math is right. 2, 4, 5, 6, 5 times. Had to beat the same team 5 times this season. And Hillcrest gets it done. So great job by the Hillcrest Lady Knights, winning the 5A state volleyball championship for the first time in school history. We'll be talking about the Hillcrest football team pretty soon here. But let's go to 4A now, Sean. And the number 1 Bear Lake lady girls volleyball team, they just fall short to number 5 Fruitland. Yeah,
I mean, and another theme, and we saw this in soccer, that the seeds aren't coming through. Like, I feel like last year and maybe the year before, the top seeds are kind of at the end. But we had Moscow and girls soccer; they were a 5th seed. Maybe it's the 5th seeds year or something. But yeah, you have a Fruitland team that comes in and takes down Bear Lake 3-1 in that quarterfinal. Bear Lake does come back around. Unfortunately, they get their rematch against Fruitland,
right?
And they go 3-2. And they go the 5 sets, but don't get a chance to play that if needed match. But came very close, 3-2. But yeah, Bear Lake unfortunately doesn't repeat, but does get second place. Cole Valley, again, a 3 seed, also with a nice run, taking third.
Yeah, and actually, so Bear Lake was able to beat Fruitland, but then they played that final match, Sean, at that bottom right hand corner.
Oh,
yeah,
they did play it. Okay,
they did. Yeah, and again, East Idaho News covering this really well. I love this quote. They said Bear Lake just ran out of gas, and I think that's exactly right. Playing the same team, 2 times, plus losing to them early on in the bracket. So I really 3 times had to play Fruitland, and I lost them the first time 3-1, beat them the second time 3-2. But that's a 5-match round, right? And then going, this is like boxing, 10 rounds, just brutal to go up against the same team 3 times. And number 5 Fruitland gets it done. Bear Lake is second place though after losing out to 0. But Stephanie Birch, man, again, Coach Birch, awesome coach, just like Coach Bukahi of Madison. They only lost a couple times this season, and that was to Hillcrest, again a champion. And I think they also lost to Madison. No, excuse me, it was Malad and it was Hillcrest. I think those were tournament games. And then it was Madison, excuse me. So, 2 out of the 3 losses were from championship teams and undefeated teams in their own right, and then a really good Malad team. What a killer season from Bear Lake. Just fell short in the final.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So congrats to Bear Lake. Preston does go decently far in with they lost their first round, but they won their second, won their third. They lost their third, so they were done. But Preston, decent showing there, and that's your 4A final. But congrats to number 5 seed Fruitland, and then Bear Lake getting second place. Let's go to now 3A. Speaking of Malad, Sean, it comes in as the 3 seed, and they lose in their first round. And you mentioned this last week, and I love this about the volleyball tournament, but you mentioned it can be so hard to lose that first round and have to claw your way all the way back. Well, the Malad Dragons did just that, showed their claws, if you will, and clawed all the way back to the championship game.
Yeah, Malad was, my kind of favorite. I think I kind of alluded to it. I thought they came in at a good spot at that 3rd seed. Unfortunately, Melba 3-2 beats them. Malad goes on to beat Firth 3-0, Priest River 3-0. They get Napa Christensen 3-0. And then Malad gets to play Melba again, right? And they go ahead and beat Melba this time and get a shot at Ambrose, which seemed to be the clear favorite, but Malad still took it to the five games, right?
Right,
3-2. Malad still did it. Melba takes third, and it's kind of crazy because that's so many games. That's 5 games on Saturday for Malad, right? They play Nampa Christensen, they play Melba, and then they play Malad. So 4 games. If they would have won and played that as a needed game, they would have played 5. But 4 matches, and it happens pretty fast, right? I mean,
right.
You got a little bit of a break, but that's a long day. It's so hard to come back, but still a good job from Malad to do that. Just to even come back from second, you can go away pretty quickly if it doesn't go the way you want it to at the start. And yeah, they did a great job. I mean, look at Kellogg; they're the number 2 seed. They lose to Napa Christensen, don't even get a shot at the title. Malad gave themselves an opportunity, and you have to be happy for that.
Yeah, 100%. For my account, I'm counting Ambrose only ended up playing 4 games, which matters in a long tournament like this. Mlad 5, 6 games, I think 6 there, and like you said, that matters. You just run out of steam, similar to what happened to Bear Lake. And again, Mlad taking that match to 5 games. Really impressive stuff from the 3 seed Mlad. But Ambrose was the favorite, and Ambrose takes that one. But good job to Mlad. Congrats to them. And Firth went 2-0, unfortunately for them. Westside also went 2-0, but they made it, and that matters, and that's something you can build off of. Let's hit 2A, Sean. The other big story coming out of East Idaho, the #1 Butte County Lady Pirates go back-to-back. They defeat Liberty Charter, Oakley, Troy. Troy again, they are able to beat Troy twice. Troy had to go back and collect themselves and get Oakley. Oakley ends up winning that third-place match, but Troy gets Butte County for the second place, and Butte County takes it. And dude, look at this scoreline, Sean: 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-1, and that's it. Butte County lost 1 game in the entire tournament.
Yeah, just a dominant performance from the Pirates up there, and Butte County. They did a phenomenal job. This is a team, that I felt after last year's basketball season, I thought it might translate into good volleyball. Obviously, they're the back-to-back championships, but sometimes when you have that good basketball season and you're going to have some of these same ladies, that's going to play an important role, and I think that was a part of it. And yeah, it was just a dominant performance, And this is one of the first brackets where it's 1-4, 3-2. It kind of went to chalk, right?
Right.
And even the 4 comes back. The only team that didn't make it was Valley, right? The three, but still Valley and Oakley are playing to get back into the winner side of it. So, when a tournament goes to chalk, it's probably the best team seeded correctly, right?
Yeah,
we don't want to talk about seeding, but Butte County,
we don't talk about Bruno.
Congratulations to them. Just a phenomenal run. Did they lose any this season?
So yeah, I was gonna drop this last little nugget. Yeah, they ended on a 23-match win streak, Sean. So no, they did not lose very much, if at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that will pick up back in 2006 or 2026.
Yeah, man. So congrats to the Butte County Lady Pirates. They go back-to-back. They dominate. They beat Troy twice. They lose 1 game, one match the entire tournament. Just a phenomenal job. Let's hit 1A girls volleyball, and that'll be it for girls volleyball for the 2025 season. The one team, Sean, that I was looking at was Rockland. I won't celebrate too much because me and picking, I don't do very well. So I got to get my wins when I can. But I said watch for #4 Rockland. Sure enough, Rockland takes it, right? I mean, takes it as far as they can. But Horseshoe Bend is just too much for the Rockland Lady Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, you had to look at this bracket and go, because this seems to happen to the Rocky Mountain Conference every year, basketball, volleyball. You have this battle, and you end up having to play your same conference opponent first round. I feel like it happens just to this conference more than any other conference. But Rocky Mountain or Rockland has to play Mackey 3-1, and I think we talked about this was almost a coin flip kind of in my mind. Like if Mackey wins, I'm not surprised. If Rockland wins, but Joel was on the Rockland train. He thought that they were poised to make a run. I also thought Ledor would kind of do a little more as a 6th seed, but they came against a tough Cary team, and then Rockland had to play them, and Rockland takes down the 2 seed, and Rockland runs that gauntlet we talk about. That's it should be the Saturday gauntlet, right? They're playing at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and that 4 p.m. like they're just playing the whole time. And 3-2, you almost force that next one against Horseshoe Bend. But Horseshoe Bend, I think had a lot to think about from last year, right? Everyone was kind of wrote everyone else off. It's Horseshoe Bend's going to win. And Grace Lutheran came through and won it,
Yeah.
and just kind of a Cinderella storybook kind of way with their 6 or 7 girls. But Horseshoe rights the wrong, takes care of business. But Rockland, man, they had to do it the hard way. It'd have been
6 total games,
and they had to play Horseshoe Bend twice. It would have been interesting to me if Rockland is on the other side of the bracket and plays Horseshoe Bend in that semifinal and only drops down and doesn't have to play the two extra matches. Like, how much does that change? Now, in talking to volleyball, and we're kind of talking about this gauntlet thing, and in talking to some volleyball coaches, because I've always asked about this, and a lot of them will say they actually like the playing more because you're like ready to go. The sitting can be hard sometimes too. So it's a fine line of sitting and being rested, right? How much gas do you have in that tank? And then if you're just sitting, are you warmed up to play? So you got to credit the Rockland coaching staff for maximizing what they had there, because it's so difficult. Because in volleyball, they still do like the 20-minute warm-up before every match too. I mean, I'm tired at the end of the warm-up, Joel.
For sure. And you mentioned that they battled back from that second round loss to, Horseshoe Bend. They had to win 3 consecutive matches to get that rematch with the Mustangs, which again, this should be the name of the show, running out of gas. I think they just, again, lost steam, but they still took Horseshoe Bend to 5 sets, and they dropped that match 3-2. So really good job by the Rockland Lady Bulldogs. Again, we had some East Idaho on East Idaho, a crime, right? Going 4-5, Rockland Mackey. Mackey did a good job, right? They beat Coeur de Christ after losing to Rockland, but they lost to Genesee, and so they were out. And then, Ledor loses twice, and they're gone. But Rockland held strong throughout the entire tournament. But again, you're playing 6 games versus 4 games, which was Horseshoe Bend. It's going to be tough, but they still took them to 5 sets. Really nice job by Rockland getting that second place hardware. So in the end, Sean, we got Hillcrest wins it all. Butte County wins it all. And then Ladd, Bear Lake, Madison, and Rockland all get second place. Ton of hardware coming back to East Idaho.
Yeah, there was not a lack of space in the shopping cart coming back from the respective volleyball arenas to East Idaho. And congrats to all the East Idaho teams and fans and players that traveled across Idaho to go see these competitors play and were rewarded with trophies. Not always the trophy you want, right? Every team wants the blue one, but there's 8 teams and they only give out 1 blue one. So to come back with something, I think is always the important thing. I'm still trying to learn that as a coach myself, but
sure.
Not how many volleyball teams are there in 4A or 5? You know what I mean? There's so many teams, and there's only like 4 trophies, right? And you got one of them. So I mean, it's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, for sure. Christy Miller says Horseshoe Bend earned it. I'm not sure where Christy Miller's from. Maybe she's a Horseshoe Bend fan watching the East Idaho Prepcast, but
I would agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. 4 games and making sure you win every game and not having to go all the way around 100%. And then she says, no credit to Horseshoe Bend. We're giving Horseshoe Bend the credit. They're just not an East Idaho team, so there's a little bit less credit.
Oh, I believe I started with Horseshoe Bend Remembers last year. I gave them all the credit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So no, hey, huge congrats to Horseshoe Bend, but because they're not East Idaho, we don't talk about them as much. More love for the East Idaho teams for sure. Horseshoe Bend, you're gonna have to go listen to the other Prepcasts for that one. But Christy Miller, thanks for chiming in here on the East Idaho Prepcast. All right, Sean, let's go to let's hit a little bit of cross country, which we haven't talked about really all season long. We've hit a little bit,
couple
here and there.
Races, yeah.
Couple races, yeah. We talked about a couple here in Pocatello, up in Skyline. Up in Idaho Falls, but let's hit some of the top performances from cross country. Now, remember, scores are based on the placement of your top 5 finishers for each team, right? So if you go 1 through 5, you're going to win. But if you're like 1, 6, 5, and 17. You may still lose because the other teams might have like 2, 3, 4 or 3, 6, 7, right? It all depends on your top 5 finishers, and that's how they count the points. And it's like golf, fewer points wins it all. So let's first hit 6A. Frankly, Sean, there wasn't a lot to talk about in 6A, so we're going to skip to 5A. I think Highland did decent. They got 7th or 8th place, but we're talking about the top stories because we don't have 2 hours to spend our evening. So we're going to hit 5A girls. A huge story here. Idaho Falls Lady girls win state, dude. 92 points to the 2nd place Twin, 117. Twin, the next closest team wasn't even that close, right? 30-something point swing there. IF goes 2-8-15, including 2nd place is JC Jensen running an 18:04. Great job by the Idaho Falls girls Tigers.
Yeah, you had Jensen 2nd place, Eliza Peck in 6th, Tess Eddington in 12th, Lucy 26. I mean, they just had a good range of finishers. So you have to, congrats to IF. I mean, it's kind of been IF and Skyline have been going back and forth for these cross country titles, but congratulations to the Tigers for getting it done.
Yeah, and got to shout out Pocatello's Katie Boyle. She was the only girl from the Pokey cross country team, from the Pokey girls cross country team who went to state. She ran an 18:07. She got 3rd place at state. Phenomenal job by Katie Boyle. Let's get on to 4A. Listen to this one, Sean. We get 2 through 4. You had Snake River, Sugar, and Teton go set 2, 3, and 4. All 3 of those teams. Great job there from the 4A squad.
Yeah, Snake River 2nd, and they had 2 people in the top 10 placed 5th and 7th. Sugar also had some top 10 finishes, 9th and 10th. Yep. And yeah, some good job. Sugar Salem was 3rd in the team standings, and Teton was 4th. So definitely some good running at the 4A level girls as well.
And it's just amazing to me. And I didn't do enough research to find out how many of the girls are running cross country and playing soccer. You can do both. A lot of times the cross country races are, they don't overlap with soccer. There's my oldest has a couple friends who are going to play soccer and run cross country. Luckily, cross country state happens the week after soccer state. So there is a way. So I'd be curious, Sugar has a ton of great athletes, but it's still 4A. So I'm wondering how many of those soccer players are running cross country. That is some research I'll have to do for another time, but congrats to Snake River, Sugar, Teton going 2, 3, and 4 at state. Let's hit 3A. This is a massive story. The senior, who else, Sean? Lucy Boone out of Ryrie. We've talked about her for the last 2 years, man.
Yep.
Right, since she was a sophomore. She gets 1st place at state, runs an 18:05, almost beating 2nd place is JC Jensen from the 5A team, right? From Idaho Falls. So that's really impressive coming from 3A, almost beating a 5A finisher. So 18:05 from Lucy Boone. Just a great way to end her high school career.
Yeah, Lucy Boone has been a staple here on the East Idaho podcast, winning tons of races, gets the state title at the 3A level. Just a phenomenal job. You kind of thought, and it was also because she finished 2nd last year,
right?
And the 18:05 was her PR. And then Bella Spencer of West Jefferson was 18:17. And then followed by another East Idaho, North Fremont's Andrea Anderson at 18:20. So it was 3A, as we've talked about in some other sports, football. It was pretty dominant on the girls' side as far as the running went, and not to mention who ends up winning the state tournament in 3A, and that's the Malad Dragon girls. Yeah. So I mean, Malad was busy last weekend, right? They had a football game. They had some volleyball going. I mean, there was anyone at school Friday?
Thursday, Friday. Yeah, most of the school is probably gone. Yeah, because they got football, volleyball, and cross country.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anyone was there, man. I mean, it's not like they're beaming with extra kids. You're like the 3 kids in class, like.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and especially if you're in the band, you probably were traveling with the football team, right? The pep
or
band.
One of somewhere. Volleyball sometimes has the band.
Dude, we got to find out. We got to hit up our Malad contacts. Was anyone at school last week, Thursday, Friday? That's a great story. We need to run down. But Sean, you teased it. Malad wins it with 60 points. Ryrie gets 2nd with 71 points. Soda 3rd, 75. I love though that in cross country. I teased this earlier. that even if you don't have like a top 5 finisher, you can still win it if your runners are sticking together in that top 10, top 20, right? Just depending on how everyone else also finishes. So Malad had this. They had runner 7, 11, 12, 14, and 16. So that's what I'm talking about. You got between 10 and almost 15. You had 4 runners plus a top 10 finisher in 7th place. So 7, 11, 12, 14, 16, that's enough to get you first place. Congrats to the Mlad Lady Dragons on getting that first. And then Ryrie Soda, 3A, whether it's football, cross country, volleyball. In that case, it was, whether it's any sport, 3A tends to dominate out here in East Idaho. And then that is all the girl results, like the top girl results from 6 all the way to 3. Let's hit the boys. Now we're going to go back up, Sean. Let's hit 2A boys first. Rockland gets second place. Speaking of Rockland being busy, this time it was girls and boys both being at different locales. Rockland's not a big school. Where were the rest of those students? Rockland finishes 7, 13, and 16, and that's enough to get them the second place.
Yeah, Rockland again. They're not too far removed from winning it. They're going to be. They'll be back in track and a force to reckon with. I would imagine as well. But a good job by Rockland.
Yeah.
I mean, second. I mean, good. One more finish, right? One more good finish, and you're probably looking at that first place.
And then how about with 3A boys, Mlad senior Boston Burbage, he runs a 15:18. Second place goes to West, again, 3A, whether it's boys, girls, any sport, we're dominating here in East Idaho. Second place goes to Westside. Third place goes to Mlad. This is Westside senior Ethan Willis. Great job by him to finish his senior year, getting second place. Third place goes to Mlad's freshman, Sean. Jason Alder runs a 15:38, only 20 seconds behind Mlad's senior Boston Burbage. And getting that first and third, 2 runners in your top 5, again, enough to get first place. Mlad gets first. Ryrie goes second. Soda goes third. Does that sound familiar, Sean?
Yeah. Hey, and Mlad just said make it a double, right? We'll take the girls one. We'll take the boys home. And then Ryrie again in second, and then Soda in third. So very familiar, and we're used to hearing Soda. I mean, there was a span where Soda won cross country for like 10 years out of 12 or something. So those blue trophies for cross country and 3A have not resided in many other places but East Idaho. But again, congrats to the Dragons again. Ryrie as well with 2 second places, and Soda right there nipping at the heels.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's pretty cool that East Idaho and 3A goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in both girls and boys, and it's the same teams. How about 4A boys, Sean? Tell me if you've heard this one before. Sugar Salem wins.
Yeah, it's new. No, Sugar wins. And what was a pretty highly contested kind of 4A, right? But Sugar sophomore Daryl Dixon placed second with his PR of 14:59.3, and that was really what kind of gave them just enough to take it. So a good job for Sugar.
Yeah, for sure. It was 54 points for Sugar. McCullough Donnelly gets 59. It was a 5-point difference, Sean. In cross country, that's 5th place, 6th place. So here are the numbers for you. Sugar goes 2, 7, 11, 17, 18. Your 18th place runner was a freshman, dude. Bradley Dixon. Sugar continues to churn out the athletes. A couple guys graduate, and your freshman Bradley Dixon shows up and says, "What's up?" He runs a 16:23. Sean, when I was a sophomore, my PR was 18:30. That is amazing from a freshman, Bradley Dixon, 16:23. He sticks with it, and then the sophomore, he sticks with the sophomore runner from Sugar Salem, number 17, Henry Baker, who gets a 16:18. Those guys run together. I imagine they run together most of that race, and that ended up being the difference as McCall Donnelly goes 1, 5, 10, 19, 24. So it was almost like we had this throughout the whole race. Sugar, McCall Donnelly fighting, jockeying for position. But in my very, pretty uneducated, but somewhat educated cross-country analysis, I think because that freshman Bradley Dixon stuck with us, his sophomore teammate Henry Baker, that was the difference. So I wanted to shout out Mr. Dixon for his 16-23 effort in helping Sugar win for a tournament. Let's get to 5A, Sean. Tell me about your Century boys.
Oh, well, Ethan Hansen takes first place. So
Yeah.
a phenomenal job with 14:51, which is a little faster than Joel, apparently. Ethan Hansen and Ammon Bitten have been at the top of a lot of podiums throughout the year, and they did a good job. Century goes ahead and takes third with that. You know, a few more stronger runners, and it's a little different story for Century.
Right.
But I mean, I think really the storyline, congrats to junior Ethan Hansen. He'll be back again, right? He'll be back again. But just 5A boys in general, it's, you have Skyline takes the championship, right? Preston takes second, and Century takes third, IF and fourth. So again, you just have a litany of East Idaho teams at the top for cross country.
Yep, no doubt. I had to make sure my mic was not muted. Really fun to see Skyline, Preston, Century, IF go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those point totals, man, 76 for Skyline, 89 for Preston. Then I got a little bit of there was a bigger gap out between Preston and Century. Century gets 134, but IF 139. So IF and Century were pretty close. Skyline, though, man, 3, 4, 9, 27, 33 places. And that's enough to get first place for the Skyline boys. And finally, 6A boys. We did have a good finish from 6A East Idaho. Highline boys get second place. We've talked about them throughout the year here and there, Sean. They were probably one of the only teams we were talking about. And they get second place out of a really great mix of 6A schools.
Yeah, Highland was strong all year. Good cross country team, and second place. I would have to imagine it's got to be one of the highest trophies Highland cross country boys has ever gotten, at least for a while, right? And they had a good amount of runners, and you can see, they went 9, 11, 23, 24, 34. So they had some good groups. That ninth place runner was Spencer Smith. 11th place was Cody Christensen. So those are the top performers for Highland as they take second. The best runner was Rigby's Jonas Porter, and he finished fourth. So Rigby did have a showing from Jonas as he took fourth. But congratulations to Highland, and to go up and compete against some of these Boise teams in cross country. That's a phenomenal job. I feel like that's a little, it's not the championship, but it almost feels like one. It's going to go a little underrated for how I think a great of accomplishment it is.
Yeah, 100%. So congrats to all the boys, girls, cross country runners through East Idaho for their accomplishments, especially those who were able to take home some hardware, some medals, and some trophies from last weekend. Hey, we had a comment here, Sean. You were talking about the Madison player who now is at ISU.
Yep, that is
highlight.
Wadups, yeah.
Yeah, so Nora Wadups
covered it in basketball as well. But yeah.
Exactly. So that's who she is. Looking for at ISU volleyball, has been an absolute machine this season. So fun to watch.
Served an ace. It was awesome to win the match.
Yeah.
The other night, I watched the highlight of that. That was cool. And I'm like, well, no, Wadups, volleyball, Madison, it was all running together to me. Sure. But yeah, that was cool to see. It's cool to see some of the athletes we get to cover go on to play in college sports here locally, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, totally. And then Christy Miller, our fan from Horseshoe Bend, said thank you, and you're welcome, Christy. Glad we could shout out Horseshoe Bend and help you out there. And then we got Sam Buffington in the chat saying I'm late for good reason. College basketball is back. Sam, what's the score of the BYU Villanova game? People are asking. People really just this guy's asking. Okay. So let's finish off, Sean. We've already almost gone 40 minutes, but dude, we got some football to talk about. So let's pull up a few brackets and give me what you're most intrigued by for football. Let me get Sam's awesome comment off here. Thanks again, Sam. We had a couple losses, a couple wins here in East Idaho. Love Madison beating Boise 17-14, really at the buzzer. Highland gets smoked by Mountain View. I figured Highland was going to lose that game, but I didn't know by that much. Mountain View's for real, but Highland, I think, is going to be way back next year. What are your reactions from this so far?
Yeah, when we did the Gem State game day, a lot of the experts thought if you're going to pick an upset, it would be the Highland over Mountain View game. Well, we couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah.
Or Mountain View just played better than expected. I don't know. That one was a little surprising. I think to me though, the big surprise for East Idaho in the 5A bracket would be Madison just kind of sneaking by a Boise team, which I kind of felt like Madison would kind of finally show some dominance, right? They've been in a lot of these close games, and I kind of thought Madison would kind of show their teeth a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
But Boise played really well. They had good quarterback play, but Madison's been finding a way to win games. Will that continue against what now seems to be a healthier Coeur d'Alene team? I don't know. It's going to be a tough game for sure, and probably the game that stands out the most, I think, for next week for East Idaho is that Madison Coeur d'Alene game. Obviously, 100%. I think obviously maybe the biggest game is Eagle Rocky Mountain, but for East Idaho, Coeur d'Alene Madison, it will be very interesting.
Yeah, I think Rigby takes care of business against Mountain View, but Coeur d'Alene Madison, I owe our buddy Mr. Ryan Skaggs, I owe him an email. He wants to know, hey, what should I look out for Madison? I have notes on Madison for sure, having done a few of their
what I told
the
him
last 2 years. Oh, did he reach out to you also?
I was already talking to him. Okay. I just said like they're just good. Like
that's the thing. They took Rigby down to the wire. It was a turnover. That's really Rigby pulled away in the end because of a bad fumble by Madison, which could happen against Coeur d'Alene. But dude, Madison will take you to the wire, and I think they're sneaking good in this one.
They're not flashy. They're all just athletic. They have big line. I just, sometimes you can just point to like, oh, Amani Morel or defensive guy.
Right.
Madison, I just feel like is just good. Like as far as a team, they might be the most team in 6A, like where you just there are some stars, right? But it's not like other teams that are like you kind of point to the star, and if that star doesn't do something, you're kind of in trouble. But Madison, it could be anyone any day.
I like that. Coeur d'Alene's got speed. They got speed on the edges. They're not as big. That was my biggest concern for Coeur d'Alene in that opening game against Rigby, how much bigger Rigby was. And Madison matched Rigby. 80%
of the game, right?
Yeah. So I think I think Madison will be bigger than CDA, but CDA is fast and they have good receivers. I'm curious how this game goes. I'm going to give the edge to Madison because one, I'm an East Idaho guy, but two, I think Madison has a bit more size. But here's Sam Buffington in the chat. Just so everyone knows, also I'll be covering the CDA Madison game on my Instagram media page, North Idaho Sports, which is a great page. Go and subscribe to Sam Buffington's North Idaho Sports. And then Sam says, in my opinion, Madison will beat CDA.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
no one's subscribing to that now.
No, right? I know. Like, guy, hey, you're a North Idaho guy, but no, hey, like we always tease, hey, we're in East Idaho. We're going to shout out our East Idaho teams, and maybe we'll give them a little bit more points because we're in East Idaho. We want to celebrate our teams out here, but we also try to be honest. And I think Madison beats Coeur d'Alene in a close game. But we've talked about this on all levels of sports. As a game gets late, talent really matters, and Madison's talent on the front line, if you can continue to just push and push and push, you're going to win games late. You tire down the other team's defensive line if you can run the ball, and that's what's going to happen, I think, against that's what's going to happen against Coeur d'Alene. Hayden Olencott says, yeah, Joel, you are definitely not biased. It's okay, we all are. Right? We got to be a little bit biased because what's the point of having East Idaho Prepcast if we're not biased towards East Idaho? I would expect the same thing from North Idaho guys.
Oh, I mean, let's look at cross country. There's 6 championships.
We're the champs. We know it. It's fine.
We had 2 of them boys. We had 3 of them. 3 out of. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. I'm just going cross country. I'm just looking at the championship.
That's right.
It's pretty good.
That's right. No, but we would try to be. It's fun to be a little bit more biased, but still
We
try
get
to
to
be
do it here, not
right.
because there's other venues where we don't get to be. So we get a little more Ryan Skaggish here.
There you go. Sam Buffington said, "Whoops," referring to Madison beating CDA. All right, let's hit. So that's 6A. Looking forward to those matchups. That's volleyball. Sorry, one more time. You got Rigby playing Mountain View, and then you got Coeur d'Alene playing Madison up at Coeur d'Alene, the Rigby Mountain View at Rigby. Very curious to see how that Coeur d'Alene Madison game goes. By the way, we're not going to talk about this stuff too much because you got the Gem State game day tomorrow night, but we're just trying to quickly go through these for more East Idaho centric information. Hillcrest Lakeland. I got that game, Sean, Friday night. I'm going to be up there at Hillcrest for that one. Really looking forward to seeing how Hillcrest takes care of, and I'm saying that, takes care of business against Lakeland. And then Skyline Sandpoint, Sean, you'll get that one.
Yeah, I'll be at Skyline Sandpoint. I find that an intriguing one. Talking to the panel of people, I think a lot of people find that game intriguing, and I find it intriguing just that you're Sandpoint and you don't win that Kansas City thing, and then you're away from kind of the two behemoths, so I would say, are Bishop Kelly and Hillcrest, right? You win the district, you get the district championship, you end up getting Hillcrest. Like, I feel like Sandpoint for not winning got a better draw, maybe, but I don't know. Skyline stuff,
strength of schedule, man.
Yeah,
happens every year.
it's just interesting to see how that pans out, and I don't know, I'll have to credit Sandpoint's taking advantage of it. They beat a Minico team.
Yep.
That was a game,
and I wasn't sure about that one. I thought Minico would take them. So credit to Sandpoint for sure.
That I thought would be a close game, and I do like Skyline coming in. I do like Skyline. It's in the dome. They're like 20-2 in the
they're
dome.
Home away from home.
It's their home away from home. Skyline is a playoff team, and if you sleep on that, you're going to be sleeping for a long time, because they're either in the championship game or winning the championship game for the last 5 or 6 years. So it's been a while since they put one in there, and I would not count them out at any point. Right? Me and Joel got to witness them hit 2 onside kicks in a row. I mean,
almost 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count a Skyline team out. So I find that game to be very intriguing.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Let's see. We got more stuff going in the chat. This is what happens when we talk football, man. Hayden, he admits, he says, I'm with you. We definitely have an uphill battle versus East Idaho. And that's East Idaho's been doing a really good job, Sean. Really, since in the last 2 or 3 years, since you and I have been doing the Prepcast. I don't know. I think there's something going on here. So that's 5A. And we got a great comment, but we're going to hit that comment in just a little bit. Let's do 4A really quickly, Sean. What do you see here? What intrigues you on this? Sean, I'm sorry. We got to go back.
Oh, yeah.
Twin Falls Century, dude.
Yeah.
Massive game. You and I will not be at the game. IdahoSports.com will be broadcasting this game at Twin Falls. We've been talking almost the last 2 or 3 games that Century has played. This is where they cut there. This is where we find out who Century really is, because they had a lighter schedule throughout the season. But the last few games have been important for Century to prove, and they've done it, dude. They've done it game after game. Again, this is another chance for Century to prove the doubters wrong. Big game against Twin Falls on Friday.
Yeah, and I think you have to go back. A lot of people were calling Century the underdog against now a Columbia team that could almost be 8-0 too. If you go back to Columbia, they have one of the best running backs in high school football. Definitely probably the best running back in 5A. And they only lost to Bishop Kelly by 2 points. This is a Columbia team that a couple things go a different way. I mean, who knows where they're at, right? They could be at where Bishop Kelly is in this bracket. So I find that very interesting. But Century, I think every week it's like everyone's got to go, well, this is the game. They've proven themselves. I think that narrative kind of has to go
Yeah, that's fair.
out the door. They proved themselves. They're in the place now. They were down 0-14 against Columbia, came back very convincingly and made Columbia go one-dimensional where they had to throw the ball, and that was tough. I think this game against Twin is going to be difficult. I mean, I don't, like I had talked to you about this before, maybe a week ago. I don't think Century could have beat a Twin team. I'll tell you today, I feel like a Century could beat Twin Falls, but it's going to be very, very tough. Quarterback Hess for Twin is very good. Twin played Hillcrest pretty strong for 3/4 of a game. Hillcrest or Twin Falls has really gotten really good. They have Carter, a dynamic player as well. Yep. But Tito Villano, Justin Mangum have done nothing but put up
their offensive line.
Extraordinary points. Yeah, Zen Fleshman at the tight end spot doing a big time blocking. He's got an offer from Air Force. So it'll be a good game. If that game was at Century, I would pick Century all the time. Going up to that area there, up there. I don't know what we call it, the middle area. I think it's going to be a difficult thing for Century, but that's what they've done. They've done nothing but difficult things all year, so it's not out of the question. It'll be a fun one for sure. And it's just you have to beat everyone in front of you, but that top half of the bracket it is difficult. But I'm excited to see. And here's a team that was 0-17 is in the second round of playoffs. Right? I mean, what are they? They got nothing to lose. You're going to end the season one way or the other, and everyone's going to be like, it was the greatest season in the last 3 or 4 years, no matter how it ends.
Yep. Something that I love about Century, their situation the last few games is twice now they've come back from down 2 touchdowns, Sean, one against Preston and now against Columbia. So they're not just, beating teams that they're supposed to beat or beating close games where they're leading most, if not all the game. They're winning games where they're down 2 touchdowns. That's hard. And I love that about Century, that they've won even those types of games where they were down relatively big in the game. So good luck to Century, obviously Hillcrest, and then Blackfoot Bishop Kelly. That's an intriguing matchup. I probably think Bishop Kelly takes care of business against Blackfoot, and then Skyline Sandpoint. All right, let's hit 4A. You got American Falls playing Kimberly, Sugar Salem playing Snake River. I'll be doing that Sugar Salem Snake River game. Looking forward to that one. I expect Sugar Salem to defeat Snake River. But I'm looking forward to broadcasting that game because Snake River seems to always kind of sneak in and kind of people are sleeping on them, maybe including myself, and they end up winning those big games.
Yeah, Snake River was decimated with injuries last year,
right?
And still got to this point last year where they had to play against Sugar Salem.
Yep.
And I just don't think they had the personnel to keep up with a Sugar. But Snake River's found a way to win hard games. Do they get it done this time? I don't know. A Sugar is so tough, but your reward is you win this tough game against Gooding. Oh, go play Sugar. The team you've already played once this year. It's funny how these things work out. But I do find that American Falls Kimberly matchup very exciting. I find that if you're going to have a game of the week for 4A, that's probably the game you're wanting to tune in. I think Weiser Homedale could be pretty exciting as well. But for our purposes, Kimberly, American Falls, I mean, I kind of like American Falls. I mean, they come back basically to win against Bonners Ferry. Bonners Ferry, who has just this running back that, averages 20,000 carries, and they find a way to win. But Kimberly, American Falls, that'd be the game I'd circle. And I'm sure they'll hit on it tomorrow night and say how we're wrong. But yeah.
And then let's do 3. We just have a few more classifications, and then we will get out of here. Got a comment as we
volleyball.
Oh, that's the wrong. Hold on. That's 3A volleyball. Here we go. 3A football. Got a comment from my man Angel Cerna. I had to call him Angel Cerna at one point during the game because he made such a sweet play. Look at the little Bengals right there. Angel Cerna from Aberdeen Tigers. Sean, he says, Joel, how was the game that you went last week? I see what you're doing there, Angel. Yeah, I was at the Aberdeen game, and Aberdeen took care of business. And man, dude, played some great football. Ran that ball. It's tough when you know a play is coming, Sean. You know they're going to run the football. You know Lupe Ortiz is going to hand it off, or he's going to take it, and he's got 3 or 4 running backs to give the ball to that can always get positive yards. You hate to know that it's coming and you can't stop it. And that's what Melba had. Melba had this Aberdeen team. They knew they were going to run the ball. And the problem with the Aberdeen is they have great blocking. Not the problem. The great thing for Aberdeen, the problem for their opponents is there's great blocking up front, and they use a little bit of trickery, a little bit of misdirection to go counter. And you think they're going to go counter, then they go right through the power section of the line. So they have a lot of ways they can gash you, but it's still mostly running the ball. And Melba could not stop it.
Yeah, it's wing T, right? Aberdeen. I've always felt, going back to last year as well, Aberdeen is really good at running through the tackles in the middle. They find ways to get through those middle gaps, and it's continued through this year. And that's always hard to stop, because what happens is they'll suck in the linebackers, and then Aberdeen will pop it out wide, and there's no one to contain the edge. So you've got to figure out how to stop that. Very few teams have all year. It's the wing T is East Idaho's bread and butter when it comes to 3A football, and that's what these teams do. So yeah, Priest River and Aberdeen will be a phenomenal matchup. It's interesting, right? Aberdeen has to go all the way up to Priest River. I've been told it's not the easiest place to get to, Joel.
Yeah. Well, maybe Hayden Olencott or Sam can help us out with that one. But really also wanted to shout out Eric Alvarez from Aberdeen. Played an awesome game. That dude could not be stopped. Put down a couple of touchdowns. And then interesting, and I didn't get a confirmation, but Lupe Ortiz from Aberdeen almost didn't play the second half. He was substituted out for Isaac Driscoll. Isaac Driscoll came in as the junior quarterback and really ran things no problem. For a few plays, I thought it was Lupe out there, and then I realized that's Driscoll, and Driscoll played a great game. But okay, with that, what games do you see on here that are intriguing to you, Sean, from East Idaho? You mentioned Priest River, Aberdeen. What else you got?
Well, I mean, it's all East Idaho in every game, Joel.
Right.
I think Ryrie, it will take care of New Plymouth. It's been a nice run for the Pilgrims, but
yeah, the Grams, man, have played great football this season, but I think it ends this week.
One of their best seasons in date. Westside, West Jefferson. West Jefferson has been that team too that has been kind of a question mark. Where do they fit into all this, right? Mm-hmm. With the North Fremont and Ryrie. Well, they'll find out real quickly against Westside this weekend, so that should be a good one. But probably the most interesting game beside Priest River and Aberdeen is probably North Fremont, Nampa Christensen. I think Nampa Christensen maybe is a little better than a 6th seed number, and maybe in my book, and maybe I'm wrong, but North Fremont kind of having I think a lot to prove, right? They took care of Firth, right? It was interesting because on the Friday Night Flash, it kept saying that game was 12-12. And I was like,
yeah,
what?
it never got updated, unfortunately.
And then someone finally let me know, oh no, North Fremont won easily. But at first I was kind of like, oh my goodness, is Firth going to come away with this? But North Fremont's got a few things to I think kind of maybe not prove to people, but just kind of prove for them. I think North Fremont would love to see West J or West Side in that semifinal.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. And it's too bad when you see the 3A East Idaho and East Idaho crime in 3A, but you got it this weekend for sure. Westside West J. Remember that West J team played a ton of football in the summer. We kept hearing reports that they practiced more than any other team in East Idaho in 3A. So really curious to see how West J and Westside matchup. I didn't get a chance to check this out, Sean. Did they play each other in the regular season?
Which team?
West J and West Side.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that one goes. All right, last one, because frankly, we'll just quick hit really fast. 1A, Chalice was the only team from East Idaho. They lost in the first round, so 1A has no East Idaho representation. So good luck the rest of the way to the rest of the 1A teams. But you know what? We're gonna hit 2A and then get out of here. So what do you see on here, Sean, that intrigues you coming up? What happened last week and what's coming up this week?
Well, we don't have a whole lot here either, Joel.
No, we don't.
We have Grace. And Grace, and I'll be at that game. I'll be at that game, the nightcap at the ICC Dome against Prairie. I was talking to some of our North Idaho friends about Prairie. Because very rarely do we get to do any North Idaho football games, right? You know, because usually East Idaho versus East Idaho, or in these games. But no, it'll be a good one. And you've got to see Grace. We got to see Grace last year, and you know, a team I think that has taken from last year and really improved from last year to this year. I wish Grace was on the opposite side of this bracket, though, to be honest with you, because I really think if that was the case, and I mean a lot of what ifs, I would have, if I knew it would have been Grace on the opposite side, I would have taken Grace Kendrick in that championship game. I think all day long. I think there are a lot of good teams in 2A. I just think Kendrick is a different level than most of them. But that's why you got to play the games, right? So I do find Grace Prairie a interesting game. I'll be at it. I'm pretty excited. It should be fun. I love the 2A football in the Dome. It seems so big when you have 2A football.
It's true,
right? And they're running
feel
around.
like there's like tons of space, more than usual, but it's for the most part it's the same field, right?
It's usually big plays, and just it's interesting. It's always fun. Last year we did a few 8-man games, and it was really entertaining stuff. So it'll be fun to see Gavin Draper and the Grace Grizzlies take down some Prairie players. I was trying to do an alliteration and it all ran out on me, but it'll
players,
be,
I love it.
It'll be good. I think it'll be good. 4 or 5 matchups are always ones you look at the draw and go, this should be the game. But
toss up.
But let me tell you, if we go back to some of the girls' sports this year, like cross country, volleyball and soccer, the 5th seeds have kind of had a thing going. So don't sleep on the 5th seed.
And then I'll actually be at the Kamei at Raft River game, at Raft River broadcasting that game. That game's on Saturday at 2:00. I know it's not East Idaho, but Raft River is sort of close to East Idaho. So
Raft River has the best. They give you the best snacks,
right? The burgers, the crawfish boil. That place is lit during playoff season, man.
We know why Joel's there.
So I'll be there Saturday afternoon. If you're there, come by. I guess come up top and say hi. We'll be up top in the bird's nest. Sean, that is it. It's been 1 hour and 2 minutes, the longest show all year. What are we doing here, man?
Well, it's when you get all the championships, and when you are in East Idaho, you have your shows a lot longer.
Right? There's just so much hardware to pass around. I mean, North Idaho Prepcast might as well be like 20.
It'll probably be 22 minutes.
Hayden, if you're still listening, we love you. We love your Prepcast. But we got to throw shade because that's what we do.
No, it's when we have lots to celebrate. It's hard. We'd be remiss if we didn't make sure we got something on everyone who performed well, because everyone did such a phenomenal job. The fall sports that's pretty much it. You got swimming.
Yeah, I didn't get any swimming news this year. Honestly,
it's been very
busy, man.
It's been hard to find, but it'll be coming.
We hit everything but swimming. I think that's a pretty good job.
Football will go on forever.
Yep.
Open gyms for basketball have started.
My wife asked me, she's like, wait, doesn't girls basketball start soon? Like, I think tryouts
this week.
This week. Okay. So we got tryouts this week and games start end of the month.
Yeah. Maybe. Usually when football's still going, because it kind of overlaps and it's always kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Coverage wise. But false. That's, pretty much fall sports that we're going to be putting a wrap on it. I mean, football goes forever, but no one has any. No one will be disappointed to talk about that for a few more weeks, will they?
No way, man. Hey, thanks to everyone for chiming in here on the East Idaho Prepcast. This was a really fun conversation, from Angel Cerna to Christy Miller, our first poster, to Angel Cerna, our last poster. Thanks everyone for chiming in. Again, this show is brought to you by Ideal, Idaho's college savings program, helping you pay for the cost of college. Go to idsavings.org for more information there. That's Sean Kane. I'm Joel Richardson saying be excellent to each other. Have a great week. Enjoy all the games, all the football games this weekend. And we'll see you next time to break it all down on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.